got your work up here. Um, I agree. The off factor, it's cool. I mean, I love the typeface. I love the composite. I'm a little bit concerned about the typography, but we'll talk about that. It's a really easy fix, and I think my comments will make really good sense to you. And most of all, I'm really glad that you have a level of confidence that you've attained in the class, and that you're happy with your work. That's really really important. All right. Well, that said, let's jump right over here. Where do you want to start? Let's start with the billboard. Okay, so the billboard, I think it's done well, but there's a couple of things that we really need to determine in the billboard. Number one, this welcome, come again soon is just repeated. It's also is that's your tagline, right? So that should be really legible. It's not right now. It's so tiny compared to the picture plane. So in other words, the spatial relationship between the subhead or this tagline right here and that picture plane, it is not the most advantageous relationship. I think that this type is too small. And just to kind of further illustrate that, there's your mock-up of your billboard, right? And it's at a distance. There's no way you can see this type or this type at all. Two things going on. Number one, I think the type is too small. Number two, it's just not visible on the background. This is the logo for the Pilgrim family, right? As far as but it's right now, this seems to be connected with Tralmalfador. So this is a little strange. This should be connected in terms of proximity. Think of the principle of proximity. Things that are related belong close together. So right now, this is indicating that this has a relationship with Tralmalfador, which I don't think it does. I think this is your intended logo for this company. Another thing is that, as we can see, this logo is not visible. You see how it's just not visible on the background. You have to be really careful with such a busy background. My recommendation is to use a white logo with a black eyeball in the middle. Um, and then we wouldn't need to stroke there, so we'll reduce the size of that, place that either over here. And then I'm not a big fan of center align type. I don't think it does. Most professional designers will tell you the same thing. It does nothing to engage the negative space associated with the surrounding area. So my recommendation is to left align this subhead, increase the size there, turn this white, bring it down, watch your proximity, left align this as well. Okay, and then this has got to be legible, absolutely. All right, let's jump over to the poster. The poster, I think, is really, really engaging. But again, the typeface type is gorgeous, but I'm a little concerned about the remaining typography. Now, this is a poster, so imagine it's 2 feet, 24 by 36. So this is 2 feet wide. So if you're gonna now watch my little camera down here. If I'm standing a couple of feet in front of this poster, in order for me to read this type, I would have to go like this. Next to that line. Remember, it's 2 feet wide. So I would have to go like this and then down to the next line. And there's a lot of head movement, and that's just uncomfortable. It creates tension, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for the viewer. My recommendation here is to take this type here, and I would either 2 or 3 columns on this type here. Probably, let me see, maybe 3 columns of type here instead of 1 long column. The idea here is that the viewer doesn't have to go all the way here. Then now this is 2 feet wide, right? But then now, so think about coming all the way back here, finding the next line, doing it again, and then having to come all the way, find a third line. By the time you get to the second or third line of type, you're so fatigued, you're not going to continue. So 3 columns there will definitely work. Other than that, I think the type size is maybe a little, well, actually, probably not in the poster size. So, yeah, 3 columns there, and then don't forget that logo. And then let's try to stay away from. I would reduce that and maybe use the corner area for your contact information. So, right down there with the logo. And then in the billboard, right down here with the logo, and then in the we'll talk about the banner ad itself, but. Okay, my little dog. I had to go tend to my little barky dog, as you heard. Okay, so billboard, we talked about the billboard, we talked about the poster. Let's talk about the banner. I don't recommend this kind of diagonal type. And really, you're asking the viewer a lot to have to tilt their head like this to read the type. And I don't think it's an optimal situation to be in. So let's do this. I would it's a banner. So it's on the computer. So the person looking at this banner is going to be right up on top of it. So you don't have to worry about keeping that type so big. I mean, you can even assemble that just straight up horizontally, and that's great. Then the same comments all the way around, okay? Place your contact information down here with the logo, white logo. Place this horizontal and get a tagline in there, all right? Then we're just looking at really extreme consistency, not only in the presentation. The visual presentation absolutely has extreme consistency, but typographically, we want to really tighten this up. It's a campaign, so it really should be consistent and harmonious all the way through. Okay, so as far as your presentation goes, the mock-ups are great. Nice job, nice job. This is a good little process book. Okay, here's your Traumaphador. There's your campaign. Okay, mock-ups are good. Well, I wanted to talk about the poster mock-up. Now, this, if you take a look at the orientation of this mock-up, this poster right here, it's not going to suffice, this poster, because it's not the same. It's not really even close to the same dimensions. Okay, this is 2 feet wide by 3 feet high, and this is almost a square format. That's why it looks so much different. So it looks like what you've done is you've placed this here and just kind of altered it to fit in that. It's a good mock-up. You got the idea, definitely, but I would try to find an image that is more in line with the dimensions of the poster, 2 feet wide by 3 feet high, instead of this almost square format. The web banner, I would try to find a different page. Try to find an actual live page. You can screenshot it and place it looks kind of out of place here. So think about that. And then good mock-up for the billboard. And as I said before, you can see with the billboard that the type is just not even close to legible. And that's a really, really super important consideration in a billboard. It's viewed at a distance, so you have to be able to view that type. That type has got to be readable and legible at a distance. Man, I love this typeface. That is just so cool. What is the name of that? Let me know what the name of that is. Maybe you had put that in somewhere. I didn't quite catch it though, but that's such a cool typeface. It works. It's a great choice for Traumaphador. It's a great, I can't even think of a better choice, so great job. All right, so those are my comments. Kathryn, thank you so much for kicking things off. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, any of the above, please let me know. I'll be glad to provide in that regard. But again, really fantastic start so far. Thanks again, Kathryn.